going on, everybody? This is Bronco Juggalo.
And Bill.
And today we are coming to you with a brand new segment, something that Bill and I have decided to do. We're both a fan of Stephen King. Both big fans of Stephen King. Me, his movies are here and there. A lot of them are not that great, honestly.
Oh, yeah.
But I've been giving a lot of them second chances, third chances, fourth chances. And we decided to start a new segment all based around Stephen King. And we're calling it The Castle That King Built.
Yes.
That's right. Okay.
Yes.
And the inaugural episode will be covering Salem's Lot.
An old classic.
The 3-hour edition.
That is a long damn movie.
Directed by Tobe Hooper. Starring David Soul, James Mason, Lance Kerwin, Bonnie Bedelia, and Lou Ayres. I think is how you pronounce it.
Close enough.
Maybe Ayers. Now, David Soul plays Ben, our main character, who is a writer. A writer fascinated with an old house. While investigating, he runs afoul of the current new owner, a sinister antique store owner, and his mysterious and pale-skinned partner,
Mr. Barlow.
played by Reggie Nalder, who just happens to have a very dark secret. Dun 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 dun, he's a vampire.
Wow.
Where the hell is Van Helsing when you need him?
He's off playing, destroying planets, Death Star.
Oh. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about?
That guy played Van Helsing forever.
Yeah, of course you're referring to Peter Cushing.
Yes, Grand Moff Tarkin.
It took me a second to figure out, like, what the fuck are you talking about?
What's he talking about?
Okay.
He's off blowing up planets. Yeah.
Okay.
He's too busy running the galaxy.
Right. For this film, Tobe Hooper did not want just another Dracula knockoff. He wanted to give us and he didn't want beautiful, sexy vampires either.
All right.
He wanted to give us a more Nosferatu looking, which I believe he does in the movie. The vampire looks very much like Nosferatu.
Yeah.
And he wanted to give us more of a frightening, scary vampire, which definitely I salute. Both, of course, in my opinion, have their place in vampire mythology and film.
They do.
Vampires are kind of suave and sophisticated, and they are kind of, sexual in a lot of ways. But there's also room for your down and dirty vampires.
Yeah, and you do have both in both.
A movie that I think does it really well in is Blade 2. They kind of give you both.
Yes.
30 Days a Night, they give you more of that scary vampire.
They give you more of the gritty vampire.
This one gives you more of the gritty, scary vampire. Overall, guys, though, this is a very good vampire film.
It is.
It has 2 versions, actually. This is the 3-hour version. But if you buy it on VHS, that version's only about 2 hours. So you get a whole extra hour in this one, which is, I guess, the entire full miniseries from the 80s when they did this. I never noticed it, though. Watching it growing up on VHS, I didn't realize that it wasn't the whole thing,
Yeah.
And then when I watched this, I was sitting there trying to look like, well, what parts are in there and what parts aren't. But I haven't watched the movie in so long that I couldn't tell you what was added or taken out.
Apparently there's a lot added.
Yeah, over an hour's worth.
Yeah.
So one thing I would like to do with this new segment is also not just pros and cons for each movie, but how well do the movies stack up to the books? If we've read them, we can...
I have read this one.
Me too.
I have.
We can kind of get into that a little bit. So before we get into pros and cons, let's go over that. How do you think this film stacks up against the book? I mean, you know...
Oh, God, it's been so long since I've read this one.
Yeah, I haven't read it in probably 15 years.
To be honest with you, I thought this movie was a good portrayal of the book. There are bits in here taken out, mainly because technology's not there to do it.
Right.
And little bits of the story are taken out. But other than those few little things, it actually did follow the book rather nicely.
Right. And it does. The only thing that I have to say is that there are certain things that aren't really mentioned in the film. Not because of time or anything, but they're one of those things that you're only going to notice if you really read a lot of Stephen King. It's kind of that shared King-verse kind of deal.
Yeah.
Not saying that there is actually a King-verse. I know they got that new show, Castle Rock, where they put all his films together, or his books together.
I haven't watched it.
But what I mean is, like, in The Stand, Randall Flagg, the bad guy, is also the bad guy in The Dark Tower. He's also the bad guy in Eye of the Dragon.
Yeah, Eye of the Dragon.
He's also the bad guy. They share. He shares this kind of. He's a character that you find in many of his books.
Yes.
Same thing. He's also in this one we have the antique dealer. In this one his name is Richard Straker. In Needful Things it's Leland Gaunt. But it is kind of a trend in King books. You have this kind of sinister antique dealer.
Yes.
A lot of King books and movies share these kind of things. Some of the stuff we do get in this one is, of course, the mention of the towns. They talk about Derry. They talk about Castle Rock. Those are two of the big places where King sets his books.
Yes.
The fictional town of Castle
of
Rock, which hence the name of our segment, the castle that King built. And that's something we're going to get into more as the series progresses.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of these movies that do give you a lot of things like that, and we're going to get into that.
And another theme of his is having a main character that is a writer.
Mm-hmm, yeah,
that happens a lot in his books.
Happens a lot in his books. It happened in It. It happens in this one.
Of course, Misery. Everybody knows.
Yes. There's so many similarities in a lot of his writings. And it does sometimes transfer over to the films. This one, not so much, except for, like I said, towns, things like that. But it is what it is. Starting off with pros and cons, I guess we're going to start with cons.
Yeah, I don't have very many.
I personally don't have any at all, so we're going to let you take that one.
All right. My biggest con for this movie is that it is a little slow. It does drag sometimes, and it doesn't... It's not like a slow burn where you're getting a lot of info. You're getting info sometimes, but then other times it just seems like it's just going slow.
And that could be, of course, to the 3-hour runtime.
Yeah.
Now, maybe I haven't watched it yet. I do have it on VHS.
Uh-huh.
I was going to watch it, but I hadn't put it in yet. I was going to watch it and see, like, compare
Try
the
to see
two,
what was different.
see what's different about it.
Yeah.
Haven't done it lately, but I'm planning on it still.
Okay. And then I got just one other thing for this as a con. It's kind of nitpicky, but some of the clothes that they use in this movie is tacky even for the time period.
Okay.
I'm sorry, but some of the things these people are wearing is just bad. It is not... It was outdated, some of it, for the time this was even done, and just tacky.
Right.
I'm sorry, but
I hear you.
that bugged the shit out of me, how tacky some of the
hear you.
costumes were. That's it. I'm done being nitpicky.
Well, starting with pros, I want to go with that opening title sequence. I thought it looked really cool the way they did it.
Okay.
I really enjoyed it. It really reminded me of some old school filming, and I really loved it. Yeah. I thought it was a really cool way to intro this film.
Okay, I can get behind that. Sure. It was kind of an interesting way to do that. My first pro for this film would be the whole atmosphere of this film. It's very nice. Like, you dread the dark when the dark comes.
It is kind of a American Gothic kind of feel. It's
a
Gothic film,
there you go.
And it really does have that good atmosphere. That's one of my pros as well.
Yeah, it's when it's daytime out, everything's fine and hunky-dory. But then when night falls, you get that. The atmosphere of this film has that sense of dread throughout the entire film.
I felt it really brought back that atmosphere from those original, Universal monster feels, that kind of dark, gothic feel.
The dread of sundown.
The same thing that they get with the Bram Stoker Dracula movie. It's just got that really good atmosphere, and I really did enjoy that as well.
Okay. All right, what you got?
The next thing that grabbed my attention right after the title sequence is the music to this film.
Oh, okay.
I really enjoyed the music. The score is good, as is the soundtrack with the, more modern music. Just definitely all around, it's something that really grabbed me out right away, and it never let me go, and I really enjoy the music throughout the film.
Okay, yeah. The vampire lore. We really do have that nice lore of vampire in here. Like they have to be they have to be invited in. The ways they're being able to kill them.
Yeah.
You have a Renfield.
A Renfield type character.
Yeah, you have a Renfield type character.
A little smarter than Renfield is portrayed in the movies usually, but yeah.
Oh yeah, my favorite version of Renfield has to be from Dracula Dead and Loving It.
Yeah, that actually made my recent list that was my top number one pick of my top 20 vampire films of all time.
Really?
Yeah, that's my favorite one.
It is a good movie.
I'm just a Mel Brooks fanatic. What can I say? I love his films.
But yeah, we do have that lore of the vampire, but we don't have the sexual vampire. We've got the down and dirty, gritty vampire.
Right.
Like the vampire of old, Transylvania style.
Right.
Yeah.
There's also a big pro for me as well. I do enjoy it. It doesn't really add much to the lore, but I like that it added that part where they could tell that the vampires were close because of the the shine on the
bottle of holy water. Yeah, okay, yeah, that was new.
One thing, I guess, I used that pre-credit sequence to kind of set the film up. It did make me wonder what happens next, so I wouldn't have minded another movie of this. Now, there is the film Return to Salem's Lot.
Never saw it.
Which we're going to have to find and review as part of this segment. While it may not be based completely upon the Stephen King book,
but it is
based on the characters and the premise of the book. Kind of like Pet Sematary 2. My next pro is the shotgun sequence. There is a kind of a side story, an added story that's part of this film that I really did enjoy about a guy about a girl cheating on her husband. And when the husband finds out, he decides to take matters into his own hands with a shotgun. And I just found that whole sequence to be very fun and very amusing. And I really thought he was going to blow dude's head off, man.
Click, it's empty.
Sorry if that's a spoiler for anybody, but come on, this movie's been out for like 30 years or 40 years. Come on now, people.
That was also a pro of mine. That was, and that was something I really liked about this movie too. That it did take that added part from the book that they could have easily just axed that out,
right?
And the story would have been fine.
And the movie showed some humor.
Yeah,
it had some humor in it. It wasn't a complete, just blood and gore fest. It wasn't a completely serious film. Going into that, if you don't mind, real quick, just
go ahead.
I really liked how one of the main characters in the film, the young boy, that's helping, and all his friends get killed, and then he's kind of helping things out there at the end. He's got this obsession with old vampire movies and lore, and you get to see a lot of cool stuff on his walls, like Hammer Dracula film posters, things like that. Universal stuff. I thought that was pretty cool to see all that. I thought that was kind of just a cool Easter egg.
Nice added touch. My next pro for this film would have to be the third act of this film. The third act is amazing in this film. I especially like the morgue scene. The morgue scene is very cool, very well done. And they're going in there with the doctor guy. Yeah, the doctor guy, and got an undead person coming to life in the morgue.
Yeah.
That was a great scene, and the way they just shot it, the lighting was real good in it and everything. And it just keeps going, the third act. just keeps going into, going and trying to kill Barlow and now all of his minions
Right.
that he now has amassed.
Going off what you said about the way it was shot, something about the way this movie's shot really appeals to me. It's very much old golden age Hollywood.
Okay, yeah.
It does have that kind of, like we were talking about earlier, that gothic atmosphere, gothic feel to it.
Yeah.
Of the old Universal and even early Hammer stuff. Just that really old gothic Hollywood feel to it. And I really dug that about this movie. It's something that I can really sink my teeth into.
No pun intended.
Yeah, really not. It really did harken back to an age where Hollywood was more than just big special effects and computer graphics and, big stunts and it was back to a simpler time where things were
more story driven.
But also where they had to put a lot of work into building sets and just,
or finding
different locations, doing different things that we just take for granted nowadays.
Yeah.
And that's something else too. And if you don't mind me keep going here, I love the set designs in this movie. I love inside the church at the beginning of the film. I love the inside of the old house. Everything,
the inside of that house was amazing.
Everything just looks really good. And I just really enjoyed that, the aesthetic aspect of this film. And which leads me into my final pro. I love the look of Barlow. It does look like Nosferatu.
He does.
That's what he looks like. He looks like Nosferatu from that 1920s silent German film. Or was it 19 teens? I don't know exactly. It was somewhere in there. But I really did like it. I really did. He was menacing. He was evil looking. The people that he turned into vampires were menacing as well. Especially the creepy little kid outside the window. He's all floating there. Oh, that's something else too. And to go along with that, like we said, no CGI, right?
Yeah.
How they got their actors to look like they were flying or floating.
Probably wires.
No, they didn't use wires. They didn't want people to see the wires. They used cranes. Like, the lifts. So like when he comes in the window, what it is he's like strapped onto a crane. And it picked him up, pushed him forward, and lowered him into the window like that.
Oh.
And then it pulled him back out like that. And they used, of course, all that mist to cover it. So
very well done.
It was
then.
very cool optical illusion, and I think they did a great job.
Nice.
I definitely recommend Salem's Lot. This is a very good edition to pick up on Blu-ray if you can find it. It's 3 hours long. It does not have like the alternate way to watch the shorter version. Not sure if we got one of those. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know if Scream Factory's put one of these out or not yet, but if they have, maybe they've got it. I don't know. But if you can't, pick it up on VHS and watch it that way.
Yeah, there are plenty of them out there.
If you have a VHS player.
Oh, yeah, true.
Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed the first episode of The Castle the King Built. My name is Bronco Juggalo.
And this is Bill.
Peace out, y'all.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Good night.
Talking about mob shit. Go. Couple $100 grand, nah, ain't much. Mob shit. One phone call, you can get touched. Mob shit. Then we gave Tommy a to-do list. Mob shit. Good fellas always got a full clip. Mob shit. Keep the family